The other big story this Wednesday is coming out of the Eastern Cape. That's where judgment in the long-running case of rape accused Pastor Timothy Omotoso and his two co-accused is expected in the High Court in Gqeberha. Omotoso was arrested 8 years ago and has been in custody since. His two co-accused, that's Lusanda Solani and Zukiswa Sitho, are currently out on bail. They all face more than 30 charges, including rape, human trafficking, and racketeering. SABC News is watching the story from all angles. As a start, let's bring in our reporter Lerato Fekisi, who's been tracking the story, in fact, since it broke a couple of years ago and joins us now live. And needless to say, Lerato, this is a seminal moment as many of the controversial pastor's victims wait to hear how things have fared.
Absolutely, a huge day for the victims. We have heard that one of the witnesses, Cheryl Zondi, is going to be in court today. And I just wanted to show you, Ayanda, how high profile this case is. Throughout the years, there's gained a lot of traction, both locally and internationally. And also what we also note when we arrive here is the high police visibility in court. What you see in shot right now are police who have literally blockaded this entire street, Birth Street, in front of the court to make sure that Azapo, who are supporting the victims, the Women's League are supporting the victims, and obviously JDI supporting their past and their two co-accused are very much kept safe throughout these proceedings. We also are aware that key to this case is going to make sure that everyone inside court is also safe. So inside court, high police visibility there as well. But Ayanda, a really, really important moment for all the victims who, for the past 8 years, like you said, have testified in court. And I spoke earlier on to Sakina and I told her that what came out in court as someone covering the case was just the reverence that Omotoso has. I mean, the moment he walks into court, Ayanda, the JDI members who are in court, they stand up and literally bow and they call him Papa. And when I asked them why he was referred to as Papa and not Pastor Omotoso, they say that inside church he is seen as a father figure, as a father spiritual figure, and they call him Papa because many of the young girls and the young men inside church see him as a mentor and a spiritual father. And many of the young girls who testified in court said that they went to him as someone who could train them to be part of the Crystallites, a huge choir at that time who traveled the world, Omotoso. And most of the witnesses said that they leaned into him and his expertise in terms of music and how he was able to play instruments, how he was a self-taught pianist. And most of the victims then saying as they leaned into him for mentorship, they alleged then at that time they became victims of Omotoso. Witnesses coming out saying, Ayanda, that at any time when they were at that Durban house, they were allegedly molested by Omotoso, whether it was the insertion of his finger into their private parts irregularly or sexually touching them or violating them sexually. All the witnesses have said that and have had the same testimony about that. And then obviously the defense came out saying that in fact this trial must have stopped, bringing two applications to apply section 174, saying that this case has not been fair, insinuating that state prosecutor Gqeberha, who's recused himself from this case, did persuade all the witnesses to commit perjury. So therefore saying, Ayanda, that all the witnesses, what they testified in court was just a representation or a made-up version of what they were told by Gqeberha to say. But Judge Umaskuman stating throughout the case that, in fact, the state has got a strong case. But also interesting, Ayanda, before I cross to Ntombi, my other colleague who is here, was how during the cross-examination, Judge Umaskuman said that she was quite disappointed with the state that they had time now to really cross-examine the three witnesses very, very well and had time 3 days, but instead they used 1 day, saying that as a judge, she found that quite absurd that given time to now really hamper in on the allegations, really hamper in on the charges, the state didn't really do justice, as she said. But we'll hear today that if they did justice, what the outcome would be. But I'm also not alone. I'm here with my other colleague, Ntombozuko, Balintulo, who's here, who's got members of the Azapo who have also been on the forefront in supporting the victims. Let's cross over to here and hear what they have to say outside Gqeberha High Court.
Hi, good morning. We are at the Gqeberha High Court. This is one of the biggest days that a lot of people have been waiting for. We're about to hear what the judgment of Pastor Timothy Omotoso of the GDI church, and we will, of course, be outside just getting all the feels of what the people from the church, or we tried to spoke to earlier, they actually refused and said they're not allowed to speak to the media. But right next to me, we've got Chris Swempu, who is the Azapo leader, who is just going to be telling us, Chris, you've been here for quite some time and we're following this case. How are you feeling today and what are your expectations of the verdict?
A bit despondent, firstly because Pam Mabini, who we have been traveling this journey with, has since been gunned down, and for the first time she's not in this court, so you would understand how we feel. Secondly, we are hopeful of a guilty verdict, even though we must point out that the last time we were here during the closing arguments, the judge did point out to the NPA bungling this case in that it did not do proper cross-examination. The evidence of the witnesses was not put across to the accused, and to that extent we are a bit disappointed with the NPA, and should Omotoso be acquitted, we think a full-blown investigation must be done.
All right, Chris, I see that there are a number of supporters that are here, and you're saying that regarding this case, you really think that if he is not found guilty, they should be investigated. So you are pretty much saying that the NPA or they didn't really do much investigation during this case?
Well, not investigation, but cross-examination. There are fundamental principles in cross-examination. You do not just confer the charges on the accused and then he denies them and then you go to the next. So they didn't cross-examine him on the evidence that he provided, and also on the evidence that their own witnesses, state witnesses, provided over a long time. Bali, you would realize that 7 days were put across for cross-examination. They took half a day. Isn't that strange?
Okay. Thank you so much. That is Chris Swempo. He is the leader of the AZAPO, just stating that if he were to not found guilty, Pastor Timothy Omotoso, then there will need to be a further investigation regarding this case. But I'm quickly going to step aside. I just want you to also see right outside that a number of people are flocking in as they are here to support. Some are here to support their Pastor Timothy Omotoso, and also you can see AZAPO's lead people, and also some of the ANC Women's League are here in support of what's going to be happening around in court. And of course, I will be outside bringing you all of these feels, just asking people in terms of how they feel, and also just to get reactions from the outside in terms of this case. Back to you in studio.
Right, that's our reporter Ntombozuko Balintulo, live to us there from just outside the High Court in Gqeberha, a hive of activity as we wait, of course, for judgment to be delivered in the case of controversial televangelist Timothy Omotoso and his 2 co-accused. It's been a story that's really hung on to the headlines for the 8 years since we've watched this trial unfold.